Life is so short. You deserve better. Hello, and thank you for giving me this time and space to share a deeply important message. To all women, sisters, daughters, friends, and anyone who has ever felt uncertain about their worth or about their right to happiness in a relationship. Life is so short, and you truly deserve better. You do not have to settle for people who mistreat, disrespect, or hurt you. This is a sentiment I see echoed time and again in countless stories, an outpouring of heartbreak, confusion, and desperation. Today, I'd like to reflect deeply on why so many of you might find yourselves in situations where you're asking, should I stay? Should I forgive this person who hurt me? Should I remain loyal, even though I'm being disrespected? My hope is that by the end of these reflections, you will walk away knowing, without a sliver of doubt, that you have a fundamental right to a joyful and peaceful life, and that if a partner stands in the way of that, you can say no. Every day, I see so many posts, on social media, on advice forums, in support groups, from women who deserve better. It breaks my heart to read them because they illuminate how often women are forced to question their own value. They speak to a wide range of experiences that share a common thread: uncertainty about whether they must endure someone else's cruelty or negligence. The questions often follow a pattern. He cheated on me. Should I forgive him? He forced himself on me. Rape. Do I have to stay? He only shows interest in me when he needs something. Could that still be love? He demeans me or humiliates me in front of friends, but in private, he's sweet. Should I move in with him? He seems nice most of the time, but now he wants to choke me during intimacy. Should I let him? He wants me to give up my job and become financially dependent on him. Is that what love looks like? Reading these questions, I'm confronted by a stark reality. Many of us have internalized, from a very young age, the idea that we are obligated to nurture, forgive, and accommodate, even at great cost to ourselves. We have been taught that a woman's love means unconditional acceptance, that women who put their foot down are difficult or unreasonable. So many of us have been socialized to believe that sticking it out, no matter how grim, is a sign of loyalty or moral strength. But let me say it clearly: if someone violates your boundaries, disrespects your autonomy, or trivializes your emotions, the correct response is not to question if you are overreacting. The correct response is to acknowledge that a boundary has been broken. You have the right to say no, to protect yourself, and to leave if you need to. If your partner cheats, manipulates, or hurts you, physically, emotionally, or psychologically, that is not love. Love should never be a labyrinth of fear, self-doubt, or humiliation. For those who find themselves repeatedly asking these questions, wondering if they should stay in a painful situation, there is a clear and resounding answer. No. That might sound bold or too definitive, but let's walk through why this is so important. No, you do not have to live in fear of his temper. Living in a perpetual state of anxiety, waiting for the next explosive outburst, is not a compromise you should ever have to make. Nobody should. A bad temper that leads to threats, property damage, or violence is not normal, nor is it something you need to get used to. No, you do not have to accept marital or spousal rape. This is a harsh reality that's rarely discussed openly. There are individuals who believe marriage gives them the right to a partner's body at any time. They might shame, guilt, or physically force their spouse into sexual acts. But marriage is not a blanket pass for non-consensual behavior. Sexual abuse within a relationship is just as real and harmful as sexual abuse elsewhere. You deserve bodily autonomy, always. No, you don't need to be someone's convenience or bang-maid. You are not an object, a servant, or a tool to be used for someone else's gratification or domestic labor. A relationship should be a partnership between equals. If you find you're only called upon to satisfy someone else's needs, emotional, sexual, financial, or otherwise, without your needs being recognized and respected, you are being used. No, you don't need to laugh at his sexist jokes or shrink yourself to boost his ego. Relationships should involve mutual respect. If your partner demeans or belittles you in front of others, or even privately, to feel bigger or better, that is a sign of toxic behavior. Laughing along just to keep the peace might feel like the only option in the moment, but over time, it chips away at your self-esteem and sense of authenticity. No, you don't need to pretend to like him or maintain the illusion that everything's fine. If something is profoundly wrong, Staying silent won't fix it, T. Pretending a toxic person is good, just to keep the facade of a harmonious relationship, traps you in a cycle of denial. Your feelings and perceptions are valid, and you do not have to gaslight yourself into believing everything is okay when it's not. No, you don't actually need him in your life. This is perhaps the hardest truth of all. Many of us have been conditioned to think that we cannot survive on our own, that we need a partner, any partner, to feel complete, or that leaving someone, even if they're terrible, is a fate worse than being alone. But understand that being with someone who devalues you is far worse than being single and free. You can do better. That's a statement many people hesitate to believe when their self-worth is rock bottom, eroded by a partner's criticisms or neglect. But let's break it down. You are inherently worthy. Whether you are single, married, divorced, or in any relationship status, your worth as a human being is not up for debate. You are more than someone else's opinion of you. Even if your partner has spent years telling you you're too emotional, too demanding, unlovable, or lucky he even sticks around, none of that is the truth. That is emotional manipulation, a tool used to keep you tethered. You can find happiness on your own. If the only reason you stay is fear of loneliness, fear of financial difficulty, or fear of social stigma, know that there are resources and communities out there to help. You can build a fulfilling life alone, or eventually with someone who actually treats you well. You deserve better. This phrase is something so many people wish someone had told them earlier. It's a phrase that sparks a small flame of hope. Perhaps you already know deep down that you deserve better, but hearing it aloud validates the nagging intuition you've had all along. Your intuitions have already guided you to ask strangers for their opinions. Think about that for a moment. If you have turned to the internet, or to friends, or to any community to say, "I'm in this situation, it feels off," what do you think? That indicates a powerful internal voice telling you that something is not right. We often dismiss our intuition, calling it paranoia or overthinking, but that deep gut feeling is there to protect you. When something within you sounds an alarm, it's wise to pay attention. Indeed, so many heartbreak stories begin with a person saying, "I had a bad feeling early on, but I ignored it. I didn't want to seem dramatic." But ignoring that intuition often leads to greater heartbreak down the line. Of course, no one wants to believe the worst about someone they love or care about. That reluctance to face red flags sometimes keeps us in painful situations far too long. A partner who doesn't respect you, who demeans you, who cheats, or who physically or emotionally abuses you, has already shown you their true colors. Even if they might have been nice once, or if they occasionally do kind things, it doesn't erase the dark reality of their destructive behaviors. A single rose or an apology after a storm of abuse is not a remedy. It's often a manipulative cycle known as honeymooning, in which the abuser temporarily acts sweet to lure the victim into staying. Be extremely discerning when choosing a partner, a co-parent, or a mate of any kind. This is the individual who might influence your mental well-being, your financial stability, your personal safety, and the emotional climate in which any future children might be raised. This is not something to take lightly. Too often, I read accounts of women who sense things are off, sexist jokes, humiliating remarks, pushing, or pinching in anger, and dismiss these signs as just a bad day. But these patterns are rarely isolated. If someone shows you disregard or cruelty before a deep commitment is even formed, it is a massive red flag. A real partner should support your individuality, encourage your personal growth, and respect your autonomy, whether financial, emotional, or physical. Someone who tries to isolate you from friends, push you to quit your job, or cut you off from family is raising a glaring red flag of control and manipulation. I know it can be overwhelming to see all these no's and warnings. Perhaps you're thinking, yes, it's easy to say I deserve better, but how do I actually leave? What if I have children? What if I have no money saved? What if my culture or family disapproves of separation? These are very real concerns. Deciding to change your life is never easy, especially if you've grown dependent on someone, economically, emotionally, or socially. Yet, the first step is acknowledging you have a right to want better. Sometimes, that spark of realization is all you need to begin seeking help. It may not happen overnight. Often it's a process involving contacting support services, saving money discreetly, or confiding in trusted people who can help you find a way out. Even if you are not ready to leave immediately, you can still cultivate a mindset of self-preservation and growth. Look for resources in your community: women's shelters, hotlines, counseling centers, or online support groups. Talk to people you trust. Seek legal advice if necessary, especially if there are children involved. The path isn't always straightforward, but many women have walked it successfully. You do not have to reinvent the wheel alone. One of the recurring themes that keeps people in unfulfilling relationships is the fear of being alone. We're bombarded from childhood with fairy tales, rom-com movies, and cultural messages that equate singlehood with failure, or that paint living happily ever after as the only key to fulfillment. While healthy, loving relationships do exist, a toxic relationship is anything but. Ask yourself, is being alone truly worse than living a life overshadowed by mistreatment, walking on eggshells, or having your self-esteem constantly torn down? Many survivors of abuse talk about the immense relief and peace they felt once they left their toxic partner. The quiet after leaving was initially disorienting, sometimes even frightening, but eventually it blossomed into newfound freedom. They discovered they could enjoy their own company, pursue new hobbies, reconnect with friends, and shape a life that aligned with their true values and desires. Being alone can be a sanctuary for self-discovery. In that time, you can focus on personal growth, healing, and understanding what you genuinely want in the future. It's also a chance to set higher standards for yourself in future relationships. Once you grasp your worth, you realize how non-negotiable certain boundaries must be. Let's address something important: the fact that leaving a harmful or abusive situation is not equally accessible to everyone. When someone says, "Just leave," it might ignore the complexities of your circumstances. Maybe your finances are intertwined with your partner's, or your immigration status depends on them. Maybe you have children, and you fear custody battles. Perhaps your cultural or religious community stigmatizes divorce. Yes, these barriers are real, and they can be overwhelming. It might take months or even years to accumulate the resources, plan, and emotional strength required to make an exit. Some women have to rely on friends, family, or shelters. Some must endure precarious legal battles. Others face language barriers, especially if they immigrated with a partner to a new country. But let me emphasize, none of these barriers imply that you are doomed to endure a partner's mistreatment forever. They just mean the process might be more complex and require careful planning and external support. Communities, nonprofit organizations, and women's advocacy groups exist because these situations are widespread and recognized as urgent. If you can't leave immediately, that doesn't mean you can't strategize or seek help. It doesn't mean you have to keep asking yourself, should I accept his terrible behavior? Instead, you can reframe it as, I will find a way to create a better life for myself, no matter how long it takes. I want to share a personal anecdote to underline the complexities involved. I witnessed my mother working tirelessly for 2 years, from the time I was 5 until I turned 7, to break free from an abusive partner. She was hardly in a position of privilege. She had limited finances, no extended family in close proximity, and significant emotional scars. At times, she doubted her capacity to make it on her own. But through small acts of preparation, saving money in secret, seeking legal counsel, building an emotional support network, she gradually pieced together an escape plan. When she finally did leave, the transition wasn't effortless. There were moments of severe uncertainty. Where will we live? How will I handle the bills? What about the emotional impact on my child? But looking back, that decision was a turning point. Her bravery gave us both a second chance at life, one free from daily dread and emotional torment. She's my hero because she showed me that it is possible to walk away from cruelty, despite all the odds set. In the end, it was not just about surviving, but living more fully. Her story exemplifies the reality that leaving is seldom as simple as packing your bags and walking out the door. It might involve carefully orchestrated steps, seeking assistance, rallying supportive friends, and mustering remarkable emotional resolve. Yet, even with these challenges, her experience stands as a testament to the fact that escape and renewal are attainable. Returning to the central theme, your ability to say no is part of your fundamental autonomy. When you affirm, no, I won't accept a partner who assaults me. No, I won't endure emotional abuse. Or, no, I'm not going to watch my life slip away in a toxic dynamic. You're reclaiming your agency. This is crucial not just for your own sake, but for any children or loved ones who might be witnessing your struggle. Children especially learn from the environment around them. If they see a mother figure normalizing harm or being subjugated, it can shape their future understanding of relationships. Conversely, if they see a mother stand tall and decide, "I deserve better," that lesson resonates powerfully. No does not mean you are a bad partner, nor does it mean you are irresponsible or selfish. Rather, it is an assertion that your well-being, peace of mind, and dignity matter. It is you telling yourself and the world that your limits deserve respect. When you say no, you also give others permission to set their boundaries. It becomes a chain reaction. Once you embody self-respect, it radiates outward. Another critical point in this discussion involves shame. Many women who contemplate leaving or enforcing boundaries get accused of being selfish or ungrateful, especially if the abusive partner provides some form of financial support or occasionally acts loving. Family members might say, "But he's so nice in other ways," or "But you'll ruin your children's lives if you break up the family." These shame-inducing statements attempt to distort reality, suggesting that the real problem is your inability to be grateful or tolerant. Remember this crucial fact: no amount of financial support or fleeting gestures of kindness outweighs habitual abuse, dishonesty, and disrespect. When you feel guilt gnawing at you, telling you that leaving might be a betrayal, think of the betrayal inflicted upon you every day, that you're subjected to bullying or violence. Think of how that betrayal undermines your well-being and sense of self. Overcoming shame means reframing the story. It's not about you failing a relationship. It's about saving yourself and any dependents from ongoing harm. Let's shift gears for a moment and focus on what life can look like if you decide to leave behind a damaging partnership. It can be helpful to imagine a horizon, one in which you have peace and agency. In that horizon, you are free to set your own schedule, make your own choices, and not live under constant scrutiny or threat. You can develop healthy friendships without worrying that your partner will accuse you of infidelity or become jealous. You can choose to explore hobbies, education, or a career without someone pressuring you to quit or belittling your interests. Furthermore, in this imagined future, if you ever decide to find another partner, you'll do so from a place of self-knowledge. You will set boundaries early, stand firm about what you will and will not accept, and be vigilant for red flags. This doesn't guarantee life becomes perfect. Human relationships are complex, but it does raise your standards and your chances of finding someone who genuinely respects and cherishes you. And if you choose not to look for another partner at all, that is also valid. You can live a content, enriching, and autonomous life without romantic entanglements, if that's what brings you fulfillment. Many stories of heartbreak involve someone clinging to the belief that they can fix or heal a partner. It might be that your partner had a difficult childhood, struggles with mental health, or grapples with addictions. You might be empathetic, believing that if you just love them enough or show them enough patience, you can heal their pain. While empathy is admirable, it's crucial to understand that people can only change if they actively decide to. You cannot impose healing on someone else if they don't seek it themselves. Time and again, we see individuals stuck in a cycle of abuse, waiting for their partner to transform. "He promises he'll change," they say, or "he said he's going to therapy." But actual transformation requires consistent effort, tangible progress, and accountability. Without those elements, he'll change remains empty words. You cannot sacrifice your well-being on the off chance that someone might decide to respect you in the future. During the process of deciding whether to leave or set boundaries, it's essential to gather as much support as you can. Seek out people or organizations that can help you strategize. Friends or family. Do you have a friend or relative you trust? Consider sharing your situation with them. Even just having one ally can make a world of difference. Support hotlines. Many countries have hotlines dedicated to domestic violence, emotional abuse, or sexual assault survivors. These hotlines can provide immediate crisis support and direct you to local resources. Women's shelters. If you fear for your safety or need a temporary place to stay, shelters can offer more than just housing. They often provide counseling, legal aid, and career guidance. Therapy and counseling. A mental health professional can help you navigate the emotional aftermath of trauma or manipulation. They can also guide you toward recognizing unhealthy patterns and establishing healthier ones. Online communities. While caution is necessary in online spaces, some forums and support groups can connect you to people who've experienced similar struggles. Their stories, advice, and solidarity can be immensely validating. 15. The final word. Life is so short, we often forget how fleeting life truly is. Each day that slips by in fear or misery is a day you cannot recover. Yes, we all face challenges in relationships, and no partnership is perfect. But there is a monumental difference between typical disagreements or growing pains and the kind of chronic, deep-seated mistreatment that these questions highlight: cheating, abuse, disrespect, coercion. When you look back on your life, do you want to see a chapter where you tolerated a humiliating or harmful situation because you felt that was your only option? Or do you want to see a narrative of courage, where you recognized your own value and made the hard decisions necessary to protect it? Perhaps you worry about age, finances, or your place in society if you walk away. But the truth is, regaining your self-esteem and safety will always be worth the leap. No matter the challenges of rebuilding, in the face of a terrible partner, being alone is not the worst thing that can happen to you. Indeed, the real tragedy is sacrificing years of your precious life, enduring misery with someone who treats you poorly. So, if your intuition screams that you deserve better, listen to it. If you must plan your departure carefully over time, then do so. If you need to speak up and say no to a partner demanding you quit your job or accept violent behavior, stand your ground. Remember, you are not merely an extension of another person's desires. You are a human being with the right to define your own path, one that leads toward wholeness, happiness, and respect. Even if it takes time and careful planning, even if you face doubts along the way, always keep in mind that a life free from abuse and fear is not just a privilege for the lucky few. It is a fundamental right. I hope these expanded reflections have offered some clarity or comfort. To reiterate, if you're asking yourself, he's cheating, he's abusing me, he's humiliating me, he wants to control me, should I stay? The answer is no. No, you do not have to compromise your dignity or safety. No, you do not have to fear being alone. No, you do not have to keep making excuses for someone who fails to respect you. And more positively, yes, you are worthy of respect, adoration, and kindness. Yes, you can create a better life. Yes, you can survive on your own terms if you can't find a supportive partner. Yes, your sense of unease or intuition is pointing you toward a healthier path. Yes, you can find the help you need if you reach out, whether to a hotline, a shelter, a friend, or a professional. My greatest wish is that these words might reach someone who needs them, that it might be the gentle nudge or the loud wake-up call that helps you recognize your power. You were not born to serve as a punching bag, a convenience object, or a nameless figure in someone else's story. You are the protagonist of your own story, and you have every right to shape that story around growth, joy, and freedom. Above all, remember that life is fragile and fleeting. Don't spend it tethered to someone who treats you like you don't matter. By choosing yourself, by saying, enough is enough, you not only reclaim your present but also open doors to a future filled with genuine peace and self-respect. If you're in doubt, let this be your sign. You deserve better, and you can, indeed, have better.